نستغني قريباً عن الكاش في أمريكا بعد ما صرنا ندفع بضغطة زر فقط، بس أحياناً نفس الضغطة تكلفك كل ما في حسابك البنكي بسبب عمليات الغش والاحتيال. إذا كنت تستخدم الكارت تبعك أو عندك بزنس تحتاج الدفع الإلكتروني فهذه الحلقة تهمك. ضيفنا اليوم هو آدم، روسي أمريكي، مؤسس ورئيس شركة مكة بايمنت. تابعوا الحلقة.
I came to Brooklyn, New York, when my parents came, winter of 1980. So we came December of 1980. I was born in Russia. We came as refugees because that was the only way out of the Soviet Union in those days. And we settled into Brooklyn. My parents still live in Brooklyn for the past 45 plus years now. That was kind of my journey from Russia to America. It wasn't something I was looking for. I always had a sales background. I did real estate for about 5-6 years in Manhattan, in I want to say late 1990s into probably 2001. And at that time, I was very burnt out from sales. It was just too many variables you can't control. You do everything right. You have attorney here, attorney there. They torpedo the deal, and you get frustrated. There's no commissions coming in. So a friend of mine actually who was working for Fifth Third Bank, who I grew up with, he was working in credit card processing. And I told him, listen, I need a job. I want a 9 to 5. I don't want commissions. Tell me what to do. After 5 o'clock, I'm punching out, don't bother me. So he got me a job actually working for Fifth Third Bank doing installations. So I was doing basically, I started as a technician, going from business to business, installing credit card terminals. And in those days, it was very difficult. It wasn't like now we have high-speed internet. Back then, you would do an install, it would take an hour if you're lucky. And if there was a phone call coming in, it would interrupt it. So it was very kind of, very dirty, very hands-on, right? Which was fine, I didn't mind it. I just, again, like I said, I wanted a paycheck, I want a 9 to 5, I don't want nothing else afterwards. And the person who hired me, actually, he knew my background. His name was Steve. They had a company in Atlanta called Processing Solutions. So he had told me is whenever you're ready to get back into sales, let me know. So 6 months in, I got to understand the business from the ground up, literally from the ground up. An opportunity came. He gave me a territory, which was in Queens. And I was working actually for a bank, doing their clients, representing their clients in credit card processing. So I started in Queens. I matured into Manhattan. I had around 50 branches in Manhattan that all kind of kicked their clients up to me. And then from there, I reached out to a friend of mine who had cell phone stores. So I tried to solicit him to come work for me, come give me his business, I should say. And at that time, he was getting into the business himself. So he actually flipped it on me. He says, why don't you come work with us? Help us start the company. I turned him down, quite honestly, because I was comfortable where I was. 6 months later, we spoke again. Things changed a little bit. The landscape changed where I was, where he was, and we came together. So I actually helped him from ground up build his company, which became a pretty big company now. They just actually recently sold for a good amount of money. So I started working for him as an independent salesperson. I pretty much ran the company myself, went to see my own clients for a good, I want to say, 10 years. And then from there, I hired a girl to come help me, with the clients, because we started growing. From there, I took one agent, then became 2, then became 10. Now we have probably 100 direct agents that work through us. We also work with larger ISO companies who have their own people, their own agents, who we help actually, through our relationships, help them kind of grow their company out. So it really was, again, a fluke. It wasn't something I was looking for. It's just something that landed. And, alhamdulillah, Allah's been very, blessed me very, very much in this space and everything else. So I'm very fortunate. Our reputation, right? Our reputation, the size of the company now, we have probably over $2 billion a year in processing volume. So in this industry, it's about Reputation is one, like I mentioned. You know, one thing I've built the company on is being honest, like it or not. I would never present something to a customer or to an agent, something that I cannot fulfill, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people in sales in general, they say anything and everything to close a deal. I have never lived my life that way. So if I could do something, I'll do it, and I'll tell you I could do it. If I can't, I'll walk away from it, right? I'm not that person, because I don't want to sell you an orange and then you wake up it's an apple, or vice versa, right? So we stand out because of our name, also our relationships. In the past 20 years that I've been in this space, I've cultivated a lot of friendships. I work with a lot of different banks. I have access to certain things that other people don't have access to. And that's just basically with time, just being time and being in the space for a long time. Sales is not for everyone. Sales is not something you could teach. It's something that either you have or you don't have. You could learn products, you could learn the business, right? It's like, for example, I always say, you could read a medical book, it doesn't mean you could be a doctor, right? So it's something that either you're comfortable with conversing with people, you know, having conversations. Some people are just naturally good at talking, and those are the best people. Those are the best salespeople, right? And it's about just learning the product that you're selling. With that being said, can it be done? Sure, right? I always tell people who are trying to get into the spaces, first go after the lowest hanging fruit, friends, family. Those are the easiest people. Those people won't judge you. You'll be able to make mistakes with those people first. And once you fine tune that, then you could go after the people out on the outside. You know, so it's a great business. It really, really is. And it's most of the people that work with us, it's not their core business. They have other things they're involved in, and they slowly pivot. Once they see how much residual income one can make, they actually make it their primary source of business. They kind of venture into this field because it's scary. It gives you a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of responsibility as you scale and grow, but it's great. I mean, where can you go and work, let's say remotely, for example, as long as you have access to your phone or to your computer, you know, that's really all you need for the most part. As long as you have somebody locally here kind of helping servicing your clients. Unfortunately, we do. It's inevitable. You know, we are, you know, I don't like to really brag about the company, but we're up there. You know, we service a lot of people. We have a lot of partnerships, right? So when you get to a certain level, you will encounter fraud. It will come your way. We were subpoenaed a couple of years back, you know, asking for documentation, because the problem is that as big as the industry is, it's very small. There's really a small handful of us who are core people, who people trying to drive traffic through. So yes, we've encountered it. We've caught it in many cases ourselves. We've shut down many of customers ourselves. And till this day, which is really beyond me, you will still see people trying to present fraudulent documents. We're a lot more in tune now with what to look for. You know, 5 years ago, it wasn't our job. 5 years ago, a person had to give us an EBT number. It's called an FNS number. And we would just take it, put it down, submit it to the bank approves it, and we move forward. At some point in time, as you had mentioned, EBT fraud became an issue. And it still is, believe it or not. People are getting more creative now with some of the way they're doing EBT, unfortunately. A fraud, right? So we're a lot more in tune with it. But again, we don't make no money in EBT. So for us, it's not something that is, it's not in our best interest, right? If anything, it's more of a headache for us. I'd rather not have any EBT in all credit cards, because we make money from credit cards, not from EBT, outside of some small transaction fees. And most of those fees are being passed down to the agent on their splits. So the margins, that we're talking about pennies, if anything, per account that we would possibly generate from EBT. So for us, it's more of a headache than anything else. We do it because we have to do it clearly, right? But it's there. Unfortunately, it's there, which is really, again, it's beyond me. I don't quite understand why people would do this kind of stuff. I mean, it's pure money, right? That's really what it comes down to. Fortunately, we have no control over that. All we could do is, to our best ability, is to filter with the documents that are coming to us, right? You know, so we make sure that the certificate, first of all, now we request certificates from every single EBT customer. Before, that wasn't a need. Now it's, even though technically it's still not a need, but it helps us to understand if this merchant actually has an EBT license or not. So we look at it, we make sure there's no, you know, photoshops, which is very common, unfortunately. We check our systems to make sure there's no duplicates of EBT card numbers being used between different locations, right? We make sure that the owner on the certificate matches the owner that is applying for the credit card processing account. So there are certain things that we take into consideration, but beyond that, it's really out of our hands. First of all, as a practicing Muslim, it's haram, first and foremost. I'll just put it like that, okay? So if you know you're doing something haram, that's between you and Allah, you know? Just because you get away with it with the bank or with this one or that one, someone's always watching you. It's as plain and simple as that, right? So that's the first and foremost thing I would say. Second off, from a financial standpoint, you know, yes, you could maybe get away with it. Maybe you'll make a few $1,000s here and there. Eventually, everything comes around. It's a full circle. The FBI, the federal government, whoever, you know, oversees these kind of crimes, they're not stupid. You're not the first one. There's always crimes that are happening in Medicaid, in this or that. The government is very, very smart. They will give you a big rope to hang yourself 10 times over. And when they're ready, they're gonna pull on the rope. And by that time, whatever you made, you're gonna spend 10 times in legal fees. So don't be stupid. It's plain and simple, right? Don't be dumb. Don't be young and dumb, right? A lot of times, unfortunately, it's the younger generation who thinks, hey, I'm smarter than the FBI. I'm smarter than this one. No, you're not. You will get caught. I have seen, unfortunately, I've been around for a long time. I'm almost 51 years old. I've seen a lot of things. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people either personally who got caught up in bad stuff and paid the price for it. So it's not worth it. Do things the right way and things will pay off in the long way. Yeah, it's harder. It's a longer road, but at least you can sleep at night. I think that absolutely that's where we're going. We're going more into cashless. I think things are pivoting into cryptocurrency, blockchain, digital. Everything's going digital now. I personally don't like Apple Pay and Tap. I think it's harder to eliminate fraud, right? I think a chip card is a lot more secure for a business owner to take than Apple Pay. Apple Pay is a lot faster. It's a faster process, especially if it's a busy location. But again, it does open you up to fraud, right? What's to say someone loses a card, or I could put your card on my phone and go everywhere and just start tapping it everywhere. It happens all the time, unfortunately. And people think they're secure. They're not. You know, if somebody stole my card and put it on somebody else's phone, I'm not going to pay for it. I'm going to contest it, right? So what happens is it's the business itself that's going to get hit with the chargebacks. So, but to answer your question, yes, I do think we are going to go more digital than paper money. So I'm not against it. Personally, I don't use it myself, personally. So on a personal level, I guess I'm not against it. It's just not something that I feel comfortable doing, right? But I think that we are going to trend that way. I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see that probably more and more people are using everything on their credit card, either through Tap or through Apple Pay. I think it's already happening in some countries where there's pretty much almost no cash available, right? So, you know, listen, I think as people as the older generation, unfortunately, pass on, the newer generation are going to be using more tech stuff, technology, and things like that. So it's inevitable. People will